C2 Wrestling Podcast is back, and it is the first one of 2025. Snowden and everyone listening, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to CTD, to the C2 Wrestling fans. It's a new year for C2 Wrestling. We got a lot coming out this year. This is our first full year, 2025, as a channel. We got a lot of ideas, a lot of great content coming your guys' way. So be sure to stay subscribed for the upcoming new year.
Oh, yeah, so much stuff coming your way. And we're starting 2025 different for one of us and almost exactly the same for the other as most of 2024. And that is some ailments.
Yep. Who would have guessed it that I'm under the weather today?
Me too.
Yeah. You know, I'm often not feeling great. You're not feeling great today either. But this is still C2. You know, we're putting the elements aside, getting together to talk wrestling because that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I woke up today, a little bit of a sore throat.
Mm,
Normally,
mm.
normally I'm the healthy one here normally. I'm the one who's not, with an injury. I'm the one who's normally surviving and thriving, taking my zinc pills every day, you name it. But last night, everyone can relate to this. Last night, had that little feeling in the back of my throat. I know, oh no. Oh
Oh
no.
no.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed. If I wake up, I really hope it's not what I think when I wake up. My eyes opened. I went, oh no.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no, the sore throat. Thankfully, like I can talk. It's not brutal where
Yeah.
I can like drink things. Like I've been drinking water, whatever. But I feel it and I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure it doesn't get worse. And there is nothing worse than being sick.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't gotta tell me. And let's put it this way too. I'm often sick. The C2 wrestling fans might know this by this point. I'm a baby when I'm sick too. Let's put it that way. A big old baby when I'm sick. But I wake up today, I'm congested. That's nothing new for me. I'm a little brain foggy today, not really feeling all too great. But I'll tell you, out of all the ailments, I've had them all. A sore throat is a rough one. That one's rough. Makes your throat feel raw.
We will be getting into Monday Night Raw with their debut on Netflix. But before we do, I do want to kind of tail on what you started by saying. We've got a lot of good stuff coming in 2025. We're 6 months into the channel. This is our first start of a calendar year. We've got new video ideas. We're going to start doing more live streams for post shows, live stream reactions. So much to come, but there's one guarantee, and that is every Thursday, the C2 Wrestling Podcast. And I'm not going to lie, Snowden. I was sitting at work yesterday. I knew we had to record this today. And since it's been the holidays and it's such that busy condensed schedule of right before Christmas, then New Year's, I was like, did we even do a podcast last week? I was like, did we miss it? I was at work like, I think we might have missed it. And then I was
You
like, oh wait, no, we did it. A little
know,
worried.
last week we filmed a lot. We did a lot of content last week. You know, we had a lot of videos coming out, and it all kind of blends in. Honestly, we're just having fun out here doing this. So a lot of just the talking wrestling is just talking wrestling to me. It all really blends in together. But it's been a lot of fun. 2025, a lot of great things on the horizon, and they start in just a couple days. We're not even too far out. Before we get into all that, though, this is a very off-topic thing I want to bring up, only relevant to right now. I decided to bust out an old AJ Styles shirt for this podcast, okay? Big fan of AJ Styles. This shirt, this is probably around the 2017, 2018 AJ Styles run, right? Okay. We both here at C2 Wrestling, we own a lot of wrestling shirts, right? why do they make the neck hole with a pencil? This is the tightest neck hole of all time. I'm choking here, sitting in this damn shirt.
My
You
my
know,
shirt is pretty tight as well.
the
This isn't
the
a wrestling shirt though.
the newer wrestling shirts are fine. They're not as big of a deal. But this shirt, I literally need to like cut the neck a little bit. I need to like when John Cena would wear the Rise Above Hate shirt and Kane went to rip the shirt off, you could see like the slit through it. Like I can't breathe here sitting in this shirt.
There is no clothing that is such hit or miss quite like wrestling merchandise.
Oh my god, by far. I've had to start stepping up and go into like a size above what I would normally wear because the shirts tend to shrink a bit. The WWE shop shirts, especially. Tell you what, WWE shop shirts though, that could be the worst shirt of all time. It's still better than buying a wrestling shirt from a Hot Topic. Those shirts, you buy them in an XL and they're small before you even put them in the washer.
That's the thing with WWE Shop too. They like you order it and some shirts come in a completely different material and you had no idea. And you're like, oh, I
Yes.
wish I knew this. I would have gotten a different
Yeah.
size. I had no clue.
Well, if you remember, this is, we're dating back again. This is, 2016, 17. This is back, Kevin Owens NXT champion era where we went to meet Kevin Owens at a local mall. And this was right around Samoa Joe coming around as well. It's that kind of era. And I remember them having a little bit of a merch table at this meet and greet. And it was all WWE official merch, but they had the Fight Owens fight shirt at the time. I don't even think it was the KO one with the duct tape, but the shirt was like a dry fit material. And I remember being like, that's great, but they fit so small. I would have liked them to start making more shirts like that.
Absolutely. And I got really bad with I got rid of a lot of shirts. And I also just don't know where a lot of them went. You mentioned that Kevin Owens meet and greet. I had the Kill Kill red, white, and blue shirt.
Yes, yes,
I haven't
yes.
seen that shirt in years. That I have no idea what happened to that shirt.
Yeah,
So many of my wrestling shirts, like I look back at old pictures, especially during that era. I either got rid of those shirts or honestly, a lot of them wouldn't fit or
yeah,
I'd wear them a few times and they'd shrink or the material on some of them weren't great. I had the first AJ Styles shirt that came out.
yep.
Don't know where that went. The
Y2AJ?
KO, no, the one before that. Thank God,
Yeah.
not the Y2 AJ. Jesus, talk about something that like in at the moment wasn't great and
In
age wise has
hindsight,
yeah
yeah.
like it is not as great as it and it was bad at that time. That shirt, I had a, like a baby blue John Cena shirt that was pretty cool. Don't know where that went. I had an orange Cena shirt. Like I go back sometimes and I see like our old videos on our old channel and I look at, I see something I'm wearing. I'm like, man, I don't know what the hell happened to that shirt. I must have donated it, whatever. Like I normally
Yeah.
donate my clothes, I don't throw them out. I was like, damn, I wish I didn't donate that. I wish I had that shirt.
Yeah. I still have a handful of wrestling shirts. I still have a good chunk of them. I've bought more maybe in the last like 2 years than I've had sitting in my drawer, but I still have a handful. I think back to a lot of those old wrestling shirts, though, that I used to have that I wish I kept. Some of them not even wearable anymore because I was a kid and they're too small, whatever, but I just wish I had them. I used to have the Rock Just Bring It shirt, but it was red, white, and blue. It was American flag. I remember that shirt being so ripped up, though. One of my favorite all time shirts that I wish I still had. Man, I used to have that purple and green Team Extreme shirt. It was all
Oh,
purple. That was a great one. Had Lita, Matt, and Jeff in the back. Wish I had that shirt.
I had some random shirts too. Like during the 2010s of wrestling, like, honestly, during a time where a lot of people stopped watching, I had so many wrestling shirts at that
Yeah.
point. One of my favorites, I had the Dolph Ziggler shirt that was bright
Pink.
pink
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
baby blue colors.
Yeah.
There's a picture of me and my our buddy from high school wearing those shirts at
Yeah.
Extreme Rules, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pay-per-view we went to. I had like the Miz, you remember his baseball
Yeah.
t-shirt?
Love the baseball t shirt.
Yep, I had
Love
that.
that.
The white and black. That fit terribly.
Really? That's
Um,
funny. Yeah.
yeah, that fit awful. Um, yeah, I had a great rock shirt. Don't know what happened to it. Like, there's so many things that you go by, and then like when you're a wrestling fan your entire life, like you remember these things, but at the same time, I've probably forgotten so many shirts that I even owned more than the
Yeah.
ones that I know I've owned.
Yeah. No, honestly, like if you were to pull out like my catalog of shirts I've owned over the years as a wrestling fan, There's definitely some ones that I'd point out and be like, wow, that was a great shirt. I wish I had it. The Team Extreme shirt. But there's a few where I'd be like, oh my God, I forgot I had that one. That one's fantastic. I had some Dudley Boy shirts back in the day. I had a lot of the classic great shirts that I wish I held on to, man. Don't get me wrong. There's some new merch that's still cool, still great. This style shirt, it's a standard style shirt. Nothing crazy to it. Nothing to really remember. But there's some cool ones out there still. They got some fine merch. A lot of it is a bit more forgettable than that old school merch, though. But speaking of merch, speaking of what's to come, did you see the new John Cena shirt they just dropped?
I did, and I sent it to my buddies who live here in Atlanta. I will not be attending the Raw in Atlanta right before the Royal
Mm,
Rumble because I have work. I forgot to request off. I was so busy trying to get off for Netflix Raw and
yeah.
for the Royal Rumble that I forgot that Raw is literally here. So it's going to be the first show since I've been here that they're here and I won't be able to go to. That's a lie. I didn't go to day one because I had COVID. The first show that I am off of work, not sick, hopefully, and not able to go to. Um, the merch that came out, the John Cena farewell tour, I sent it to them and I said, if you go to that show, you grab me an Atlanta one. I need an Atlanta
Yeah.
shirt. Tear in my eye. I'm sure we'll get something nice at SummerSlam as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping we get another like couple different Cena shirts. I'm not too crazy on this one. They just dropped blue on the back, the big door. After this, you can't see me. It's a little corny. It's a little corny. I would have preferred a better Cena shirt, but it's all right. What are you gonna do?
I don't know if there has been a wrestler with less fashionable adult t-shirts than John Cena. Like I get it. Most of his stuff ain't for me.
Yeah,
It is for children. I get it. But I also still want to support Cena. The
yeah,
one baby blue shirt that I had was pretty nice. The back, the massive you can't see me. It's like, all right, it's a
yeah,
little rough, could be
yeah.
worse. The backs are awful.
Awful. I remember doing a matter of years ago, WWE Shop used to do a mystery bag, it'd be like $40 for like five
Yep.
t-shirts or whatever. And but like it wasn't really a mystery bag because I could order it and you could order it. We're getting the same five shirts, you know. But one of the shirts I got out of that was the bright orange and green John Cena shirt, which like if I'm trying to get picked out of a lineup, I'll wear. That shirt is loud
Maybe
as
I
could
did order
be.
that as well because I had that shirt.
Yeah, I believe we did that together. Actually, I believe we
Okay.
both ordered the grab bags, and I believe it came with like the blue unicorn New Day shirt back then. Something like that too.
I
I'd
think
have to
so.
go. I think I still have that like run of shirts, the 4 or 5 that came. I have to go look and see what I got in my closet. But that new John Cena shirt, could be better, could be worse. Probably not gonna cop it, but I'm hoping for more for John Cena. It is funny because he does have, some of like the worst catalogs of clothing for adults. But then he's got some bangers. He does have like a couple, like, ooh, and they're on the shop. They went back and they have the old hustle, loyalty, respect shirt, the one with the dog on the back and the picket fence, or not the picket fence, the chain link fence on the front. He's got some good ones too.
It is quite funny though that he has all of these shirts. I don't think there's ever been someone with more merch in the history of wrestling than John Cena.
Yeah.
But you can pinpoint an era of wrestling based off one of his merch lines, and that is Purple Cena era.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah, honestly, you can see a clip of Cena in any color shirt, and like you can immediately go, oh, that's like '07 Cena, that's
Yeah.
2011 Cena, that's 2014 Cena, and so on. You know, a lot of the colorful shirts, nothing against them, but the more colorful, the worse the product was. To be
The
honest,
Fruity
yeah,
Pebbles,
yeah,
baby.
Fruity Pebbles, yeah. The purple, the orange Cena shirt eras are not the best. I always liked the black shirts, to be honest. I'm simple. I like the Rise Above Hate, things like that. I like the newer one where it's like the video game. It's like retro, but it's black.
Yep.
That's a good one too.
Well, Cena is doing his farewell tour. The merch that you mentioned will be available in Los Angeles on Monday, the Raw debut on Netflix. It finally gets going. There will be, I'd assume, some surprises, some we probably know. We're going to talk some of these matches, what to expect. I know you were busy on Monday, and this
A little
past
bit.
Raw, I was like, it seems like, it won't be as as crazy. It was a very good Raw. And honestly, the best way to correlate it was a go home show for Monday Night Raw because this has never felt more like a PLE for something that isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great Raw. I went back and I watched 99% of it, capping it off with the best promo battle of recent memory, maybe of all time. It's definitely up there. Seth and Punk closing that show. It was a stacked show in total. There's a lot that went down, but that promo battle leading into this upcoming Raw really made it feel like a go home show. That promo could have been the exact same promo, but if it opened the show, I don't know if it would have hit the exact same. It really makes this January 6th Raw feel bigger, feel like a PLE.
So I mentioned in my post show video that Punk Rollins didn't need the promo. It is such a match. It's such a marquee match that it's one that you don't even really have to like promote. You book it and you're like, you guys, you know the deal. You still do, but you don't have to go as crazy. On Raw, you had Rhea and you had Liv gets a video package. You have Roman and Solo video package. These are good video packages. They were cool. They were good promos. Like, I'm not saying these are bad, but they're kind of like the last bit of filler. Like, all right, we have one last week. The
Yeah,
matches
yeah,
next week, whatever. They could have did that with Punk Rollins. They absolutely could have.
absolutely could have. Yep.
But instead, they give us this promo to end the show. And I guess one positive of them going to Netflix, there was a little bit of rushness to it, which kind of I liked because it made it feel a little bit more authentic, like they were arguing. But if they're on Netflix, they're in no rush to get off the air. They can take their time with that promo. We know they had more to say. That promo, I mean, it was like I was excited for Raw on Netflix beforehand. That promo happened. I was like, it feels like WrestleMania is next week.
Truly, yeah. It really feels like so. There's eras in wrestling. There's the golden era, the attitude, the ruthless aggression, the PG era, the black and gold era. We entered a new era, only 2 years ago, roughly, in the Triple H era. And that is continuing. But are we entering like a sub era, the Netflix era of wrestling, where that really, it felt like wrestling changed a year or two ago? We entered a new world of wrestling. Everything has been changed. It's better than it's ever been. That promo really was like, oh, we might be getting some really special content entering this Netflix era. If that was the last episode on USA, I don't even know what this first episode of Netflix is going to bring. If they went that big in a battle like that, this Netflix era is going to be special. I do agree. I think the promo battle between Punk and Rollins, it was maybe a little rushed, but it makes it feel almost more authentic in a way. Really off the top of the head, these two guys really speak in their mind. What they really feel like and think is what the pace of that promo made you feel like. When there's kind of a breather in between what these guys are saying, not that it does any harm, but I don't know. Something about the pace was really off the dome. They kept going back and forth with how they really feel. It felt like it was fantastic stuff, man.
I said in the recap video that the promo was so great. After each one of them finished, I was like, all right, I want Rollins to win. All right, now I want Punk to
Yeah,
win. All right,
yeah.
now I want Rollins to win. I think it's good for us to kind of break down both. Who do you want to win in between CM Punk and Seth Rollins? And who do you think is going to win? Those may line up. I think what this last Raw on USA proved to us was no matter how they finish the match, if there even is a finish, there is way too much meat on the bone between these two for it to just be over after this Raw.
I've said it before. You've agreed. You might have said it yourself. They love trilogies at WWE. I would not be surprised if this is a trilogy we're getting. It might culminate at Mania. Mania might be match number 2. But for match number 1, Monday Night Raw on Netflix, I think it's CM Punk winning the match. And I'll follow it by saying I think it's a mistake if CM Punk loses the match. I think match number 1, you got to give to CM Punk. I think he's hot. off the back of the Drew wins, even though that's a little bit of time ago. You still have CM Punk kind of being built up, War Games and all as well. CM Punk is hot right now. Rollins, it seems like they are going the heel route with. It seems like Rollins has a Drew McIntyre type arc right now, where eventually he'll maybe break, turn heel, start doing really whatever it takes. I think Rollins needs that loss to kind of further that breakdown of his character.
I agree. I think Punk is going to win. I think that's their easiest way to extend the feud. Like if Rollins beats Punk, it can't be clean. It
Can't
doesn't
be clean. Yes, can't
I
be clean.
don't see them continuing and I don't see the like underdog like story
No.
from Punk looking to get his revenge. I was running yesterday and I was thinking about this match. Do you mind if I put my like ultra fantasy booking cap on here?
Let's hear it. Let's see it. Get that cap on. Hold on.
Because
Tighten it up a little
yeah,
bit.
let me tighten the fantasy booking cap. I was running and I had like the ultimate fantasy booking, and this is fantasy. This is not reality. This is not a prediction. But what if we got CM Punk beats Seth Rollins? They then get a rematch. How they get there, I haven't fantasy booked that part.
Okay.
Punk loses the rematch based on interference slash help from Becky Lynch, who has been basically brought into this story from the promo.
Yep.
Punk mentioned her, Rollins a little bit with a keep my wife's name out of your mouth. And that then leads to the return of AJ Lee in Punk's honor. And maybe it's WrestleMania, maybe it's SummerSlam, maybe it's another big Raw on Netflix, whatever. We get the mixed tag match of Punk and AJ Lee versus Rollins and Becky Lynch, and then get the payoffs of the singles matches Punk versus Rollins, finishing that story, AJ Lee versus Becky, AJ Lee's return to the ring. Whether it's full time or not, I don't know if there will ever be anything bigger for AJ Lee to return. If it's not this, I think we can like officially put the nail in the coffin. She's never coming back.
So I do think it can go that route, to be honest. I really do. I've tossed around similar ideas in my head too of, AJ Lee returning, Becky being tied in, all this, all that. I do agree. If it's not now for AJ Lee, I don't want to rule it out ever, but I don't know if it would ever be better. I don't know if there would ever be a better opportunity for her to return than this scenario. I had also run by some scenarios in my head, which also included a Becky Lynch interference. And I think Becky Lynch could even interfere as early as January 6th, maybe the first match. Now, I mentioned I think they're going the kind of heel route with Rollins, but this is a heelish tactic by Punk. But man, wouldn't it be crazy to see CM Punk hit a GTS on Becky Lynch?
It would.
Now, that you would think is a heel thing for Punk to do. And it is, definitely. But it could be that thing that really puts Rollins over the edge. Relentless heel tactics from Rollins after that point. I'll beat you with a chair, with this, with that. No ifs, ands, or buts. I would love to see it, to be honest. I would love it.
See, I know you said that would be heel, and like on paper, it is heel like,
Yeah.
but I don't really think it is because this is the story right now between two guys who technically are both faces,
Yeah.
and they like in this new era of Triple H and with the logical booking and the logical promos and making sense of things. These are two baby faces going at each other right now, and they're both having absolute monster heel moments in their
Yep.
promos, in their interactions, in their fights. Like they both easily could be heels in this matchup. We know Rollins is going to be the one based on the last few weeks. He is clearly trending towards being heel. But if Punk did that, I wouldn't be like, that's so out of character. Like, this is such a blood feud. This is so, like, they are so at it that I'm like, yeah, I believe it. And, like, he'd probably get cheered for it. And Rollins would snap and Rollins would go after Punk even more. and the fans would boo Rollins, even though he's doing a very
Exactly.
face thing. It's very similar to the Drew McIntyre story with Punk, where Drew
Yes.
is painted as a heel, but a lot of the things that he does, it's like it's fair game. Kevin Owens as well. Like
Yep.
this is not, it's heels because they're doing it to the guys that we like.
Yep, I agree. That's exactly kind of the scenario in my head is, if you have CM Punk do something like that and you have Rollins come back the next week and have a Bronson Reed type snap moment of just absolutely destroying CM Punk, and maybe the fans are yelling, booing at Rollins, is brushing off the fans, it only heightens the heel turn for Seth, in my opinion, not really Punk. I think that'd be a great moment. It's just fantasy booking, though. I don't really predict Becky getting hit with a GTS. But man, if you want to make a history making moment on Netflix on Raw, you already got a couple ways you could do that throughout the entirety of the episode. But that'd be a clip playback for a long time. Becky Lynch taking the GTS in the center of that ring. Whew, I'm for it.
So we know it's the main event. I think we're both pretty clear in agreement. If this, I would say it's probably like 75% Punk wins by any way,
Yeah.
25% Rollins wins by cheating, heel turn, slash, some outside interaction, not
Ref
clean.
knockdown, something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. I would put it like 75-25, but either way, this ain't going to be a one and done. It
No,
can't be.
no. It will
Do,
not be a one and done.
do you
It's
think it
again,
goes to Mania?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why run this feud? They could have the Drew feud was a hot thing for Drew and Punk. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't have to run that. They easily could have ran Punk Rollins in that trilogy throughout the year too. But I think they saw the potential value in Punk Drew and realized we can just do Punk Rollins at Mania. And then Netflix comes around. So now, okay, how do we hype this episode up? Let's do it on Raw. But running it back at Mania, why not run it back at Mania? Also, if you didn't run it back at Mania, what do you have either of these guys do? Rollins, Punk, either of them. Don't get me wrong, there's still 4 months till Mania, but then you got to spend this whole next month leading into February is going to be wasted on the Punk Rollins feud. And then you have 3 months till Mania. So you got to have both these guys fall into other feuds. It would feel weird for this to be such a feud it is for a month and then just they forget about each other. This really is the type of feud that is going to be built up and last a half a year, in all honesty. This is going to be a long feud. It's all I want. That's what I want out of this. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Punk get a title eventually or get a title shot, but we're getting there. It's a slow burn with CM Punk. I'm loving the feuds he's been in. He seems to be having an absolute blast doing what he's doing. He doesn't seem to have any, like, I want this, I want that right now. Let him go with Punk or let him go at Rollins for as long as they can go. I wouldn't be surprised if it culminated at Mania. I wouldn't be surprised if they run back a third after Mania.
I could see that. I do think we're getting Punk versus Gunther at some point,
Agreed.
whether it's right after, Punk beats Rollins and then gets a shot at Gunther or what it may be. I think it's probably safe to say in this calendar year, CM Punk will face Rollins, he will face Gunther, and he'll face Roman Reigns. I think we'll get all three of those in the year 2025.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think when you're finishing up a Rollins Punk feud, right? We're already in 2025, so he's going to hit Rollins. Who does he get after Rollins? Punk feuding with Carmelo Hayes, like they could do it, but that just doesn't make the sense that it would if you had Punk go into a Roman feud after a big dog, somebody with a little bit more of a value to them. And I love Carmelo Hayes, no shade, but you get what I'm saying here. There is some name value that you put on paper against CM Punk, and it's selling tickets left and right. And I think they're going to do that throughout this year.
Yeah, and we know he's going to chase for a title. Like that is,
Absolutely, yeah,
they have teased it. He mentioned it before he faced Drew in the Hell in a Cell. He called out Gunther.
yep,
Drew gets involved, leads to their Hell in a Cell match. So we know those are most likely going to be the future. Now, there has been talks and rumors that Punk could potentially face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And that brings us to the other big match. There's a few other matches on Raw that we'll get into. There's a whole lot on Raw, but the two biggest, this is the other one. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. Head of the table, tribal chief, Ulafala, all on the line. It's another one where it's like it could be, I could see it leaning either way. I think it's something where if you had a better idea on the Mania plans for them, you'd be able to kind of map it out a little bit better. Like Punk Rollins, you kind of have a better idea on Punk's Mania plans. It's like, all right, he might get Gunther, he might face Rollins again, he might get
Yes.
Roman. He's probably winning this match. Roman Solo, I'm like, man, I have no idea.
No idea. I really don't. I'm uncertain. It really is. It's one of those things though too, where I'm uncertain. But if you were to put Roman Solo in the main event slot, maybe I have a little bit more of an idea. To be honest, them not closing the show leaves the idea like I don't know. Maybe we're not getting The Rock on this Monday Night Raw. If they were closing the show, I'd say Rock probably comes out. Part of me thinks you have Roman win. But if you have Roman win, I feel like you're kind of killing any momentum Solo in this new bloodline has. I feel like you got to have Solo win. And Solo doesn't need the clean win. He's not the guy that has to win clean. He's running the same race that Roman ran for his entire title run. Solo can win with 45 interferences. It doesn't matter how Solo wins the match. I think he has to win the match, though.
The only other way I see The Rock getting involved, because I agree, if he was main eventing, I'd be like, all right, Rock's getting involved,
Yes, yeah,
Rock's return. I do see a world where this opens the show. They're gonna do,
agreed.
maybe Triple H comes out first,
Welcome to
welcome to
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, whatever. I absolutely see a world where the very first match in the Netflix Raw era is Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, and The Rock returns, and it is like you can't get a bigger start to a new era of the WWE than that. And we know, like The
absolutely.
Rock, when he returned in SmackDown, it wasn't the main event. When he had the segment with Jinder, it wasn't the main event. So it's like it can be at a different part of the show, but now because of where he's at storyline wise, those were just pop ups. This is legit furthering stories, just like his massive moment of his return at Bad Blood, and it closed the show. It has to either come at the beginning or the end. Any other time, it really doesn't make sense.
Absolutely agree. There's similar to Punk Rollins, like there's a lot of avenues they could really go with this match, with this feud. They really are emphasizing the Ulafala in this match too. It's really like the fight for the Ulafala. So like if you were to have Roman win, what does he take back the Ulafala and he's wearing it again? He's the tribal chief and all that. Yeah, there's a story there maybe, but I just don't know if it makes as much sense as Solo somehow winning the match. I don't know what you would do with Solo if he lost this match. If he loses, that bloodline is still great. Fatu is a beast. Tamatonga's still around, but like it just loses a lot of credibility. You gotta have that new bloodline come out victorious in this match, I believe.
I agree. And I also think you have to have them put on separate brands after this. Like Roman to
Yes,
Raw,
yes,
new
yes.
bloodline on SmackDown. You know,
Well, didn't they kind of emphasize like Solo in the promo on the Titantron just this past Monday? Didn't he kind of emphasize like new bloodlines on Raw?
did he?
Ooh, maybe I have to watch it back. Maybe I'm just thinking about it wrong. But I feel like in that promo he might have said something like, "We're on Raw. We're coming to Raw." Like I think it was like maybe said in an emphasized way of like new bloodlines on Raw. I'd have to go back and check that out. I have to see.
I
Maybe I'm making
I'm
this up.
yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I mean granted the transfer window's open. Who knows what happens? And on top of it, we don't know when the hell it ends. So they could be
Yeah,
on Raw for 2 months and it's because they're also on SmackDown at the same time. I don't know. Whenever this
yeah,
transfer window ends though, this is similar to Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, where it's like, we need them now,
separate
separate
them.
them, get them
Yeah,
away from each other because this is, it's run its course.
Yeah, it's definitely run its course. At the latest, this can go. I don't expect them to run back Roman Solo. Mania 41, though, is the latest this goes. Bloodline versus Bloodline feud. After Mania 41, I don't need Jimmy and Jay versus Tama Tonga and Tangaloa or Fatu or whatever. I don't need Roman versus Solo. Post 41, the latest, we got to separate these guys, move on to different things. And hell, I'll tell you, I wouldn't hate for them to still have New Bloodline and OG Bloodline be the stable names just on different brands. Solo can still, he can overall lose the feud and be like grasping at straws, trying to be the tribal chief. That can kind of be the storyline there, but you got to have some separation between those.
Yeah, not to fully compare it to like New Japan, but when you look at like the Bullet Club and the outspurts of the Bullet Club and stuff like that, like when, there was Bullet Club Gold, the actual Bullet Club, whatever, you have all these different versions. You can kind of do the same with the Bloodline because there's so many of them that
Yeah.
if you have this new Bloodline, you keep them as a faction. As long as they're on a separate brand, it works for me because then they can feud with, they can feud with LA Knight for 2 months, whatever. They can do all these things as long as they're not on the same brand. If they're on the same
Yep.
brand, then it's like, what's the point? They need to feud with each other. Like
Yeah.
because there's no, in my mind, no matter who wins, we'll say in this scenario, Roman loses and Solo has the Ulafala and they're still on the same brand. Why at any point would Roman be doing anything but trying to get his Ulafala back?
Well, exactly. And why, if Roman can win the Ulafala back, why would Solo be doing anything other than terrorizing Roman Reigns and trying
Yeah.
to cost him every match ever? It just makes no sense outside of that. I definitely see an avenue to like weirdly continue the stories, but I would not be a fan of it. I think you really do have to put a nail in the coffin at the latest WrestleMania 41. You mentioned New Japan. I got to bring up a side tangent real quick. It wasn't New Japan, but Amos, man, won a tag title in Noah.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Isn't
Dude,
that
Omos is
nuts?
great, bro.
Yeah,
Omos
Omos is
Sapien,
great.
stand
Yeah,
up.
Omos Sapien, stand up. I think that's fantastic. I love that. I love the little, intertwined storytelling between all these companies going on. I think that's fantastic stuff. That's just something I had to bring up. It was relevant to you mentioning New Japan. I wanted to bring that up during this podcast at some point. Do we see Amos show up? Not even on January 6th, but does he show up on WWE TV with that title at all?
I doubt it,
Yeah, I don't
honestly.
think so
I
either.
don't know
Yeah,
how
I
long
agree.
he's out there for.
Yeah,
Honestly, like Omos hasn't been on in a while.
yeah.
They're like you look at their social media, like he looks like a star out there.
A star out
Like
there.
keep him out there
Yeah,
for him, not
yeah, yeah,
not cuz like oh, like you're not what are you going to do? Have him come back here and book him basically the same exact way? Like he
yeah.
looks like $1 million out there.
$1 million. I think you have a lot of opportunity with him to get a good month or so run out there in Noah, come back, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or hell, even NXT, and then he can kind of run rampant. He could really use that giant gimmick that he has always had, but in Noah looks special. He looks special down there. I think that's great stuff. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, good for him. Good for Nakamura. His entrance looked awesome.
Yep.
But putting a bow on Roman Solo, I want to say Solo wins just because, like, it feels like an absolute killer to him if he loses. Like, I don't want to say I have no interest, but I have very little interest in if Solo loses and his storyline basically after that, as Tommy Boy is seeing his reflection in the title. His story after is
Cashing his money in the bank right now.
yeah, his story is basically the same exact thing that Roman just went through, and that's
Yeah.
like not knowing how to get through life without the Ulafala. Like it's not the same exact thing, but I don't need that. That doesn't
Yeah.
really interest me. Him keeping it, by cheating, whatever, and Roman kind of goes a different direction because of other distractions, maybe a CM Punk, that interests me way more.
I do see a path though, and I agree completely. I that interests me way more. But I do see a path where if Solo loses again, then maybe this new bloodline is on the slight downfall. Solo is now grasping at straws. Maybe it takes a little bit of time, but over the coming weeks, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu. Tongaloa is not around, but him as well. Maybe they slowly start to realize, like, oh, Solo isn't the tribal chief. Maybe that's the slow downfall of the new bloodline. Maybe that ultimately leads up to a Solo Fatu match, even at Mania. Who knows where they're going? I don't know if they're fast tracking that new bloodline breakup quite yet, but that's the storyline I see them doing if Solo loses this match. That's the only route I can see if Solo were to lose.
It feels like there's so much uncertainty that I'm like, I'm so excited. There's no Monday Night Football.
Giddy.
Like, all eyes are on the Netflix debut. I mean, those are the two biggest matches. There's some other matches announced. There's other moments that we're expecting. Should be getting the debut of Pentagon, it seems. Potentially teaming with Rey Mysterio, maybe, or at least helping Rey Mysterio against the New Day.
So yeah, it seems that's the route they're going. Teaming with Rey Mysterio. And listen, people are probably gonna hate that. Oh, the LWO, this, that, whatever. Listen, I get it. Pentagon's not joining the LWO though. I also don't know if people know this, but there's at least history between Pentagon and Rey. They have wrestled together before. So at least there's like a connection there. It's not like Rey would have some random luchador that he's never known save him. Like there's a little bit of a connection there. But it's not the Pentagon I want. I'm a big fan of Pentagon Jr., but I want to see a Pentagon Dark type character. I would love to see Pentagon come out, team with Rey, beat the New Day. As New Day's walking up that ramp, Pentagon attacks Rey, snaps that arm back. Good old arm break from Pentagon to Rey. New Day's out there cheering for Pentagon. Go Pentagon. I want to heal Pentagon Jr., Pentagon Dark, El Pentagon, whatever they're calling him. That's what I want out of it.
I agree 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And let me further this.
Okay.
I feel with this New Day heel turn, there is so much that they can be doing that if they just face Rey and then they just lose to Rey and Pentagon, it's like I get their heels, I get they're not champions, but at the same time, like we're building them as massive heels. They're getting booed out
Massive
of the
heels. Yeah.
building. They should win. They
Yes.
shouldn't lose. That's what gets people booing when the heels win. I would love if what you said happens, but not after the match, during the match.
Yeah. Yep. It was
Pentagon
during. Yeah.
turns on Rey. I ain't your pal. You set up a feud of Pentagon and Rey Mysterio. Maybe that happens for Mania or something. And that's, I mean, marquee as it gets for Pentagon's first feud. You're feuding with one of the most top baby faces of all time, guy who's never heel and everybody loves. And then the New Day still get booed because they're going to cheer that on. They're going to get this sleazy win and they're going to parade around telling people that they beat Rey Mysterio. Like that is, to me, that's best of both worlds. I don't know if this
Absolutely.
match is happening on Raw. They like teased that it was going to happen, but
The
they
tag
don't.
match.
Yeah, I don't think they
Oh, it's
specifically
happening. Yeah, it's
said.
happening.
Yeah, but they didn't specifically say this Monday, right?
I think they did. I
I
think
know
they
they
did.
said like you find a partner, but I didn't know if they said on Monday.
I'm pretty sure Kofi had said or Woods said next week.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
pretty
they
positive.
said
Yeah.
like you find a partner, like I'll find a partner, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if they said it for Monday. If it is this Monday, even better.
So, I have two things to bring up. Remind me that I have a second thing to bring up here in case I forget. But with potential rumors of also a Mexico City backlash, you got to think they're already kind of prepping for that if that is where it's going to be held. It's post WrestleMania. What better type of match or feud than Rey versus Pentagon or Pentagon versus whoever from the LWO? How else do you sell that Mexico City backlash card? I think Rey versus Pentagon would be fantastic for WrestleMania. Pentagon comes in at a point where I want him on that WrestleMania card, full blown. But he comes in debuting at a point where like maybe he gets thrown in like the tag team mix or something. Maybe they do run the face round and he teams with Rey at WrestleMania. Maybe that's where the big heel turn comes, is at WrestleMania.
Y2AJ, you already mentioned it.
Yes, and they save the first Rey Pentagon match for Mexico City Backlash. I don't really know what route they're going, but one way or another, I want heel Pentagon. I'm a big, as I mentioned, Lucha Underground guy. During the heydays of Lucha Underground, Pentagon was the best heel in the business. He really was And I want nothing more than that. I'll lead it right into what else I wanted to bring up. Pentagon is finally out of the AEW contract. He's coming over to WWE. It's pretty much sealed. Everyone knows it's Pentagon. Did AEW make the situation worse by not just letting him go earlier? Did they really just like make the Pentagon WWE debut bigger because now it lines up for January 6th? Maybe Pentagon, they would have had him wait till this Raw anyways. But if AEW lets him go way back when, does Pentagon debut in the summer and maybe it's not as big as it's going to be now? I think they almost are giving a helping hand to WWE by holding out the contract a little bit.
Yes and no. I think here's my thing. We don't know the backstory
For sure.
on everything that's happened. There's clearly something going on between AEW and Ray Phoenix,
Yes.
and it is evident that both sides have things to say. I don't disagree with keeping Pentagon until his contract
Of
expires.
course.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that notion. I know people try to say, "Oh, if someone like they wrestling fans all the time, someone's unhappy, let him go." Blah, blah, blah. That's just not how. That's just not how it works. When you sign a contract, you're agreeing to it. Whatever.
Yep.
Hindsight's always 2020. You name it.
Yep.
What I don't agree with is when you get the hypocritical aspect of it, and when you're doing it more so out of spite rather than principle, and
Uh,
you do it for certain people and not others, and that's where you start to lose me. I wouldn't say they've made it bigger. I think they've made it more wonky for the WWE, the fact that they're tacking on the time for Ray Phoenix and you're not getting both at the same time,
yeah.
but at the same time you're letting them double dip now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're getting this debut. And who knows, maybe Ray Phoenix is done. He hasn't been posting, so I'm sure there was some NDAs that have been thrown around and signed,
Yeah.
whatever. And maybe his contract got cut in half and he's done in the summer or whatever. Now you're still getting those two big moments. Maybe his contract now does go till the end of next year. Well, now we're just going to get the same exact thing next year where he debuts a year later and it's another big moment. I don't think they made it bigger for WWE. I think they messed up having them be done at different times and giving the WWE two big moments instead of one.
I do definitely agree with that. I do think, again, there's a potential that WWE holds out Pentagon until this Raw, anyways. So, it's hard to say that if they let him go in the summer, he would have even debuted.
I mean,
I
Hikuleo may never debut at this point.
At this point, yeah, honestly, yeah. So I can't say that for fact. I do think it weirdly like gives WWE better timing, though. Honestly, so in a weird way, it does kind of like give WWE the opportunity to have a bigger debut than possible. But yes, the whole Phoenix debut, you're letting them do this twice. Pentagon, whether he's a heel or a face, you're going to have Phoenix come save him, help him one day, feud with him. Who knows what they're going to do? But you're letting them do this twice. Pentagon, man, this is a guy I've wanted in WWE for so long. I really can't wait to see him come out. I'm hoping for a great run for Pentagon. Do you think he's getting a manager? You think he's got somebody coming with him?
Yeah, probably. I can't imagine they have him flying solo,
Yeah.
Sikoa. I would assume he does, especially since he's new to the WWE audience. If it was
Yep.
someone like Andrade, where
Yeah.
he's coming back, probably not. But man, that's another match. Just us talking like, man, give me Penta Andrade. Like, oh
Oh,
man,
so good. So good. There really is so many opportunities with a guy like Penta. And then, you got a little bit of a single run for a while. You pair him with Phoenix. Like, honestly, the opportunities are endless between these two guys alone. Tag division, once Phoenix does come around, is going to be on a whole other level in WWE. Pentagon, Ray, New Day, tag team match next week. I think that's great stuff. The fantasy booking we just did there is exactly what I want. Honestly, I want the New Day taking the loss and Pentagon turns, or as you said, Pentagon in the match turns, and I want the arm snap. I want to take that arm off Ray. I think that takes Ray off TV for a little bit, and you could have Pentagon feud with like a Dragon Lee, the LWO.
yep,
Helps keep that time a little bit smaller for the Mania match.
completely agree. And you can build it towards Mania. You can build it to they rematch at Backlash in Mexico City. Who knows? Maybe Ray Phoenix is going to be free earlier. Maybe he can be worked. Who knows what deals get agreed? But that card as well is going to be incredible with the names that they have
Oh yeah,
now compared to doing it in years past. There's some other big moments coming for Raw on Netflix. We have the Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. For the longest time, I've been leaning Liv. Recently, I started to kind of lean Rhea.
interesting.
I don't want to sound harsh because I do like both of them. It is very clear that I like both of them. I'm just glad this is the end and that
Yeah,
I'm happy with either winner as long as they are put on separate brands.
yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, in all honesty, I don't care who wins, but I mean it in a like I'm happy with whoever wins type way. Like it's not
Yes.
really bad either way. I just honestly, the winner to me, I would more prefer the winner to be whoever is going to end up bettering the storyline. If Liv loses to Rhea, is Liv losing the downfall of the Judgment Day? Is that a small breakup of the Judgment Day like coming? The Judgment Day they've been kind of hinting at like Finn and Dom kind of beef too, but then they come out with a new theme. So like I don't know, it makes you think like they're building the Judgment Day, which also man, rip to Alter Bridge. The other side that was a great theme, man. Out of all the themes in wrestling, you got to change. We got 99% of the superstars coming out the bubblegum fucking pop, and we got the
We
Judgment Day coming
just
out.
talked
Yeah,
about this too. We
just
just
talked
said
about
like,
this. Yeah,
yeah, there's
yeah.
some themes that they just don't need to change
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
and they're
yeah,
good to go.
yeah,
One of those themes they fucking changed.
yeah. And now, as much as I'm shitting on it right now, I do kind of get it though, because now it's like Finn Balor's stable. It kind of does fit the bill a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't hate the new theme either. I think it's a massive change of pace from like the type of song we had to the type of song we got. You really couldn't go. It's like Slayer to Ariana Grande. It's a big gap. But it does kind of fit the bill with like a Finn Balor, I think. So I don't hate it, but that makes me think like, oh, are they building up the Judgment Day? Why would they change the whole theme to like have them break up in 2 months? But I think that's the route they maybe go if Liv were to lose. Liv going into Mania as champion does not do it for me as much as Rhea going into Mania as champion.
Yeah, and if it's all for big time Becks to just beat them, and this is another one where it's like hindsight's 2020. If this just leads to like, all right, whoever wins this match is just gonna lose to Becky anyway, I'm like, I don't. I hope that's not the case. But
I
they both have this the history with her.
I truly would rather anything else. I watched fucking paint dry for night one and night two. They watched Becky Lynch win the title at WrestleMania. That is not on the fucking bingo card for me. Not a fan of that one whatsoever. I do think there's more opportunity for Rhea, but the opportunity for Rhea is a little scarce even going into this Mania because the opportunity for Rhea would be like a Bianca Belair, but Bianca Belair has clearly got some like Jade thing going on eventually. So who would Rhea even face at WrestleMania outside of running it back with a Becky or somebody? Who would Liv face at WrestleMania if it's not Rhea? Liv is like more optionless. There's not really a superstar for Liv that's like, yeah, that's the one that would be a banger. Liv going into Mania as champion does not do it for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and there's another big women's match that actually isn't happening
The
on the
lack
Raw.
thereof.
What?
Oh, well, actually, the lack thereof is what I was mentioning, the women's match you're about to
Yeah.
mention. But I do want to mention, I've already said it before, just off the back of what we're just saying, Rhea versus Dom. That's the Mania match. Mania 41.
Yes.
That's the Mania match. Yes.
Yes, that is something that still we need the payoff between them two. And they keep they're at the point where they're kind of getting you to forget about it a little bit, and that's normally when they strike back even harder on it. The women's intercontinental title match we all expected to be on this Netflix debut. It is not now. Now it is on the following Monday, the second week, which I do understand. You want to make the next show a little bit bigger. Also, I'm sure they want to make sure that match gets plenty of time. This is such a big show with such big matches that I'm sure matches and segments will run long, and this would be one where they don't deserve to have their time cut, but I could see them being, hey, we got Punk
Yes.
Rollins and we got to make sure they get 40, so we got to take 10 minutes off of yours. Better to save it, keep beefing up the following Raws. I think it's a good option.
Yeah, I'm a little indifferent on it. I think personally, you're missing the opportunity by not having him on the January 6th Raw. I think that's a bigger debut of a title, puts a little bit more worth to it. Time cut, I think, is the words. I don't think they want to cut the time of this match. Even some of these qualifying matches have been 20-minute matches on Monday Night Raw. So I don't think they want this women's IC title to be a 5-10 minute match. They want to give them time. So I don't hate it, but I think it does give it a little bit less value doing it that second week. I do got to say,
It's
though,
better for Raw than it is for the women's IC title. I should
correct.
have
Yes,
clarified.
correct. Yeah, that's a good way to word it. I do got to say, not a fan of the competitors. I would have chose two other people. I'm not going to lie. Nothing against them either. I can't even sit here and say like I hate either of these women. Lyra Valkyria is good. She is good. She's great. We've seen her wrestle live. I like Lyra. It's just bland to me a little bit. She hasn't really been built up in any way on Monday Night Raw, so it's a little just kind of random. Dakota Kai, nothing against Dakota. Dakota is good. So much internet hype behind Dakota for nothing, in my opinion. Dakota hasn't done anything to be hated, but also hasn't done anything to get this like renowned love that I see she gets. People are treating her like she's 97 Stone Cold or something. Like it's kind of crazy sometimes. I think there was other women that maybe could have fit this slot a little bit more. If Io, who was in the semifinals, would have won this match, wins the IC title, I'm sure there would have been the trolls online like, oh, Io, the champion of everything. But I think that would have been the right move, is putting the belt on an Io, somebody that is maybe a little bit more established.
So I think this beefined the odds for Io to win the Rumble. I think
Yes.
it helped that. I mean, she got great reactions. Like people are fully behind her as a face. It was not clear, but pretty more likely that a face would be winning this tournament anyway, with the three other women's singles titles being held by heels.
Yeah.
I didn't expect all four of them. Hot take, I wanted Zoe Stark to win it all.
I agree. No, I agree. That is a hot take, I'd say, within the wrestling community. But I've been on the Zoe Stark train for a while, ever since her NXT run. I see people call her bland and stuff too. And like I just called Lyra bland. I get it. Everyone's got their own opinion. But I really don't see it with Zoe. I think Zoe's got a little bit of like a hardness to her that a
Yeah.
lot of the women maybe don't have. I think from an in-ring ability, she's honestly one of the better women they got around right now. I wanted Zoe Stark to win that whole thing.
I love Chelsea being the US champion, but honestly, if you told me in like 4 or 5 months' time you have um, both of those titles change hands and not be on the current champions, like I like Chelsea Green. I don't see Chelsea Green holding the title for 8 months.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Lyra. Dislike um I don't dislike the finals. I don't dislike Dakota. I just you can toss it around. I don't really care.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. This does not have the draw to me that the women's US title did. Something about Chelsea Green winning that title was a bit more special. Dakota winning,
Sure.
sure. Yeah, exactly. That seems to be the route. I think Dakota wins the belt here. Lyra winning, sure. I don't know. Nothing about it is like Chelsea won. What is going to go down next week? I need to see this Chelsea celebration, whatever it's going to be. Lyra wins, Dakota wins. Like, I don't know. What's next? I thought, honestly, seeing the semifinals, I thought Io was going to be in the finals and face Dakota Kai. I thought they would have had that match be the final match. Dakota maybe beats Io, but I don't know. I'm 99% positive Dakota's walking out with this title.
Give me this. Give me whoever wins this match, sure, whatever. 3, 4 months time, I want Zoe Stark winning the Intercontinental title, and I want Ivy Nile winning the United States title.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I'm big on Ivy Nile winning the United States title. I think American made moving over to SmackDown during this transfer window, getting the U.S. title on Ivy Nile, get the other U.S. title on Chad Gable, maybe put the tag belts on the Creed Bros. I think we got a stable to build up on SmackDown.
Stable for Gable. Love it. We have one last match that I believe is the only other announced match. Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, which on paper would be bigger if it doesn't feel like I've seen Jay and Drew feud. Like it was a while ago, but Jay and Drew did have a pretty lengthy feud.
Yeah,
Not that it's being run back or whatever. I could see, you know, I could see, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I could see Drew losing and then later helping Solo win,
yep.
or the other way around. Like if that, Solo's match was first, Drew helps Solo, and then New Bloodline helps Drew later. Like I could see it.
I definitely could see it. Drew versus Jay. It's a fine match for the show. I think it's great to like fill the card out for the January 6th Raw. It's definitely not the match that's selling the card. It's kind of like Drew versus Sammy at Saturday Night's Main Event. It's just kind of it's a great matchup, but it's a little bit more of just filling the card out. Prolong or extending the Drew storyline they got going on right now. I do think Drew has to win. I think that's the route they're going with Drew. He's kind of righting the wrongs of people. He beat Sammy. I think he's got to beat Jay here as well.
I agree. I think he's going to kind of go checklist wise. I wouldn't be shocked if we got Drew Roman at Mania, as crazy as that sounds. He's kind of going through all the people that have wronged him from the bloodline. I think we'll get Drew Jimmy pretty soon as well once Jimmy
Yeah.
gets cleared. That seems to be the path. I do have one gripe with the Netflix debut because we will be getting Cena's return. We know he'll be there. My gripe before we get out of here, Braun Breaker, Gunther. I know you only have so much time. I know you already have a stacked show pretty much. But man, at the very least, just say, all right, they're going to SmackDown or something. At the very least, do something like that. Gunther not being a focal point of this show when he's the damn champion just
Yeah.
hurts my soul.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should have done like the trade or the transfer, announce it maybe that Gunther's going to SmackDown. It adds a little bit more reason to keep him off TV. At the very minimum, I need something from like a Braun Breaker. Maybe he cuts a promo or something and we get introduced to a new Braun Breaker feud. I'm not saying I need a full blown match or whatever it may be, but it does feel very strange to have him and Gunther not on this show, at least not slated to be on this show.
I would look, if Cena comes out and Gunther interrupts him and tells him piss off, like, I know that's probably going to be the Mania match anyway, but if that's how you're putting Gunther on, it's going to be one of the biggest moments of the show. That's fine. I just don't love the kind of backburnering of the champion of the show. Not only because he's the champion, but because this is a Gunther Stan account, and anytime there is any wrongdoing to our GOAT Gunther, I must call it out, and this is a wrongdoing.
Speaking of wrongdoing, I'm going to end it off with this. You'll think this is a wrongdoing. But Gunther, I do think, has a potential to show up on this Monday Night Raw. I think he very well comes out.
God.
Cuts a promo.
Jesus.
But does he get interrupted?
Does Gunther get interrupted? I would say change the channel, but exit the app.
Do we get Goldberg?
Good Lord. You want to talk about ruining the debut?
Listen, I do not think we get Goldberg on this January 6th Raw, but you can't say no to it, and there's a slight possibility it can happen.
Look, if I thought there was no chance, I wouldn't be so annoyed by it. If I thought there was no chance, I'd just be shooing off like, oh, I'm not worried about that.
But on the real, we are confirmed getting one more Goldberg match.
Correct.
Who better than Gunther? There's no other option, in my opinion, than it being Gunther.
Just do Braun Breaker. Have Braun Breaker spear him into oblivion.
That would be the second option. Yes, honestly, that would be literally my other option. Is Braun Breaker, But Gunther, it lines up to me. It really does. Why not run that at a Saturday Night's Main Event? Why not?
I'm already under the weather. I'm already sick. Why make me more sick? Why do that to me?
Listen, I am all for the Goldberg Gunther match. I do not want Goldberg winning the fucking title. All right, like I get it. I do not want Goldberg winning the Rumble.
Doesn't sound like it, pal.
I do a little bit more than John Cena. Goldberg versus Gunther. I think that's a good matchup, man. I think it puts Gunther into the stratosphere of literally one of the best ever. If you have Goldberg, who his last few matches have been botches left and right, no one's a fan. Gunther puts on Goldberg's best match ever in his retirement match. Goldberg gets the send off he's wanted forever. Gunther gets all the credit in the world.
If that match happens, and I should say honestly when it happens because it's probably going to happen. If some way you've been doing all this talking, if some way Goldberg wins that match, they do something, they want to do a trilogy, they want to do Goldberg wins the first and Gunther, whatever. If I see Goldberg beat Gunther, I will never let you live this down.
Listen. I agree. That is the
I don't want to hear it.
last thing I want. We're dating back to Survivor Series. I liked Goldberg beating Brock in a minute. I know I was in the minority there, but I do not want that with Gunther. Not a shot in the world. But I do think this. I think you got to stop being such a gold bitch about it. You know, I think you got to open up the mind to the Goldberg Gunther opportunity here.
It's been your boy CTD and Snowden. Another edition of the C2 Wrestling podcast. I'm sick. I'm hurt. This is an awful way to start 2025. Just from waking up sick to now being nauseous. I've got nothing left. Please subscribe. Join us. Biggest year coming. You can take us home. I don't.
Until next time, we are CTD and Snowden, C2 Wrestling. Hopefully Goldberg wins the upcoming Royal Rumble, February 1st. Subscribe, comment down below. Let us know what you think about Goldberg. Are you team Snowden or are you team CTD? Let's see. C2 Wrestling.